What's a nepo baby? I wanna just pick your brain a little bit.
Paano mo na yung sample?
Gano. Hindi, joke lang.
And ako, personally, natatamaan ako sa mga sinasabi.
Nagiging disadvantage nga na madali yung buhay for them. Na para bang wala silang karapatan maging successful dahil madali yung life for them.
I'm not exempt from the challenges of being an artist. It becomes an opportunity for people to try and discredit you. You know, if one day you are blessed with that level of success, mas lalo mo siyang ita-treasure at iba-value. Kasi nga, iingatan mo siya kasi pinaghirapan mo siya at the end of the day, just be sincere.
It only becomes purposeful if it becomes bigger than who you are. What's up, everyone? What's up, Jayda?
What's up, Kuya Carl?
Welcome to Carlversations.
I love it. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, this is literally my messy car.
I love it. I love the vibe.
Really?
Yeah, parang sobrang chill lang talaga.
Super, yeah.
It feels like a conversation already.
Wow.
Yeah.
You are really pushing the branding right
Yeah,
now.
I really am. I mean, that's what I'm here for, right?
So guys, nandito kami ngayon sa malapit sa bahay ni Jayda. Talagang pinuntahan ko siya.
Yes.
At because I wanna have a conversation with this young lady because
Wow, young lady. Ang lakas makakuya nung yun.
Oo, kasi we went to the launch of your album. Is it an album or an EP? What would you?
Album.
It's an album. Okay.
Yeah.
What's the difference now? Because before, well, in our time, kala mo naman. In our time, it's if it's like 6 tracks, it's called an EP.
Yes.
But right now, that term is loosely used already. Like, so for you, how many songs are there in that?
So in that album, it's 8 songs.
8 songs.
Yeah, so it's 8 songs. So I think it definitely constitutes as
An album. Yeah.
Pero kasi ang sinabi sa akin, kapag 5 songs or less, parang yun yung EP.
EP.
Pero pag lumampas na nun, album na siya.
Yeah.
Parang ganon. So, I don't know, for me, I mean, I've released an EP before.
Yeah.
So that had about 5 songs. So
Yeah.
it was definitely an EP. I just feel like it's kind of like a mini album.
True.
That's probably the best way
Yeah.
I would describe it. So
Actually, yeah. And in our time and our age, it really kind of doesn't matter how many songs are in that compilation
yeah,
because it's really the impact of the music. At the end of the day, it's
100%.
really
I agree.
when I play this series of tracks, what did it make me feel? Like I think that's what's really important.
Yeah.
But all right, I wanna just pick your brain a little bit.
Paano mo na yung sample?
Gano. Hindi, joke lang. Of course, hindi naman sekreto na you are the daughter of 2 pop stars,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
They're pop stars.
Yes.
When I was younger, I've always thought that if only I had a family that had connections in the
Okay.
industry, I would probably make it in the industry. I wanna ask, what is the difficult part of being the daughter of 2 pop stars?
That's actually a
Kasi
good
diba,
question
parang-
because lagi na akong parang natatanong na what's so great. I mean
Yeah.
they assume it's great and to an extent it is.
Yeah.
Like I think there are a lot of like pros and cons
True.
to it and much more pros, but
Uh-huh.
I guess the difficult part of being, I guess what people would call a nepo baby. Diba nepo baby? Yan na yung bagong tawag dyan na nauso.
Do you see my face now? I have no idea what you're saying.
You have no...
What's a nepo? Sabi ko,
It's a giving generation gap.
yeah. What's a nepo baby?
Yeah, so they say it's like nepotism. So
All right.
nepotism is like when you have someone from your family who has like connections
Yeah,
and
okay,
then,
okay.
you know, that sort of thing. So for me, I guess like the difficult part about it is people already have preconceived notions
Yeah.
about you.
Mm.
And of course, there's always going to be like a certain level of comparison that it doesn't have to be negative, but some people want to make it out to be negative.
Yeah.
And they'll use your status as a way to discredit you. I think
Yeah.
those are the difficult parts about it. Number one, like if I elaborate a little bit more about that.
Go.
Pagdating sa when I say that there are preconceived notions, syempre parang isipin nila, ay, anak ng artista or anak ng singer, parang, uy, mayabag yan, or meron yan na parang, maarte yan, or ganito yan. Parang ang daming nasa utak na agad nila kung sino ako. Parang before even meeting me or getting the chance to know me or to get to know me, they already feel like they know me. And I think that's really easy for people just in the public eye in general to
Yeah.
to kind of fall into like that that trap.
May
So,
prejudice agad.
may prejudice agad. Parang yung ibang tao, kahit hindi ka naman talaga nila kilala
Kilala.
personally, like some people, they don't even know you well enough to have a legitimate opinion on you. They,
About
they
you.
they just feel like it.
Yeah,
They feel like they do. So
Just because they know your parents,
yeah.
make them feel that somehow they get to have an opinion about who you are and who you're
Who I
gonna
am
be.
as a person. Yeah, and that's
Uh-huh.
very true. And then yun nga, going back to, I guess, it becomes an opportunity for people to try and discredit you and say, oh, wala naman yan, like, wala siyang kailangan paghirapan pagdating sa career niya.
True.
Yung mga tipong ganun, or she has it easy, basically, or
Yeah.
everything's handed to her. And honestly, for me, it's really not the case.
Yeah.
Like, I can say for also other people who are Nepo babies, like, it's really not the case. And I
Yeah.
think it's also because, for me, if anything, you have to work harder as well to be beyond, to be more than just whatever your family name is
Yeah.
or your background is. So I think those are definitely some challenges that really come with being part of, like, I guess, a showbiz family or
Yeah.
a family of artists. But yun nga, so parang dahil sa mga things like that is all just a part of the struggle that accompanies the struggle that's already there of just like being an artist in general, which is getting your music out there. And especially in today's day and age na ang hirap na, kahit yung parents ko nagsasabi, ang hirap na magpasikat ng kanta or things like that. You know what I mean? Like, it's just really difficult because there are just so many platforms that it's good there are a lot of platforms, but everything is kind of like its own
Saturated.
thing. Yeah, it's saturated and you're already competing with so many pieces of content and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So
And different
yeah.
algorithms, different,
Yeah,
di
ang
ba?
dami, di ba may
Ang
mga
daming
algorithm
ina-ask-
ganun.
ang daming ina-ask kada platform, ibang format,
Like, it's
iba-ibang
not enough to
style.
be just an artist anymore.
True.
And as much as I wish it were different, it really just is like that. Like right now, you have to market yourself. You have to know how to make content. Ako personally, I edit my own content as well. So
Same.
so that alone, and I mean, obviously I've grown to meet people who I definitely trust as well. But sometimes there are things that, kasi ikaw yung pinaka makakaalam kung paano mo gustong ma-present ka
Ikwento.
or ikwento
Yeah.
yung kwento mo, or kung paano mo gustong i-present yung sarili mo
True.
pagdating sa content mo and
Yeah.
sa public. So, ayun.
It's like if you're an artist in this time and age, para kang entrep. You're like an entrepreneur.
Parang
Because
gano'n,
you're building
The business
yourself.
is you.
You are the business.
You are the
And
business.
it's not just enough to have a good product. You have to know how to sell it.
Yes.
And no one knows how to sell your product but you.
That's true.
Diba?
I
Kaya,
agree.
so I have to do the work as well.
Yeah.
Right. And, this is interesting because there's one part of the population that thinks, if only I had a good head start, I would probably be successful. Diba? May ganong thinking
May
na,
ganun nga.
or sometimes they blame where they come from kung ba't di nila narating yung mga pangarap nila. Kasi nanay ko, tatay ko, nasa nasa probinsya lang. I used to do that. Na
Yeah.
Parang, kaya hindi ako naging artist kasi wala namang connection yung pamilya ko. Tatay ko, OFW, nanay ko, nagtitinda ng insurance. Like, and that's real.
Yeah.
And hindi ako ma-enroll lang nanay ko sa acting workshop. Hindi ako maka-Star Magic workshop na dati. Parang, gusto ko mag-Star Magic. Huy. Pero, I'm glad na you're talking about this because there's also another part of that population na nagiging disadvantage nga na madali yung buhay for them. Na para bang wala silang karapatan maging successful dahil madali yung life for them. May mga sumali sa talent search. Tayo mga Pilipino, ang gusto natin manalo yung underdog. Gusto natin yung
Totoo yun.
yung mahirap, yung galing sa probinsya, yung kawawa.
Oo, ganun.
'Di ba?
Yeah.
Pero paano kung kasalanan ko bang pinanganak akong mayaman? Kasalanan ko bang artista yung mga magulang ko? Bakit parang bawal ako makakuha ng simpatya sa mga tao because hindi kawawa yung pinanggalingan ko? It's not your fault that you were born into a family.
You didn't choose that.
Yeah, exactly.
Si Lord yan. Sabi ko nga pag yung ganun, pag may problema yung mga tao sa ganun ko, sabi ko, si Lord yung kausapin. Honestly, for me, I don't like to look at it as a negative thing because there's a lot of good things, and honestly for me, I'll be the first to say that I acknowledge the privilege that comes with it.
Yeah.
Meron naman talaga kasi. Meron din mamang perks, meron din perks na, syempre parang, it gets your name out there. It kind of gives you not a guarantee into the business because there's no real guarantee for success, but guarantee of familiarity. Lalo na kung established yung magulang mo. Like for example, for my parents, they really worked hard to get to where they are in their respective careers.
True.
So, ayun. So parang I definitely agree that meron ding ganun na feeling nila na ay wala siyang struggles or yun nga, parang wala akong mga sarili kong mga difficulties pagdating sa industriya din. Parang, what I'd probably say is like, I'm not exempt from the challenges of being an artist. And I'm not exempt from the challenges of someone who wants to make it. Lalo na kung ang goal mo sa sarili mo, makilala ka din based on your own achievements and you as an individual. Parang, it's no different than of, let's say, like your parents are doctors and you want to become a doctor. It's still the same principle.
You're still gonna have to study.
You're still gonna have to study. You're still gonna have to put in the work. Para din magkaroon ng longevity yung career mo. Like, as my dad likes to say, it's not about making it big, it's about making it last.
True. It's longevity.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I guess at the end of the day, the point is, you have to play with the tools that you're given.
Yes, you play with the hand that you're dealt with.
Yeah, iba-iba tayo ng nakuha. Kumbaga, iba-iba ng binigay sa atin. Pero it's not really about gaano yung head start or gaano ka disadvantage. But it's about anong meron ka at anong gagawin mo sa meron ka. Kasi even in our industry nga na fine, okay, madali siguro for you to maybe land a guesting in this TV show because of your connection. But it's not really the TV show that makes you. It's really the art that you put out. And you have to do the work. You have to promote yourself. You have to be out there. You have to be relevant. And you have to sustain that relevance for a long time.
Yes.
So, just because pinanganak ka sa pamilyang artista at sikat doesn't mean may guaranteed success for you in this career.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't equate to that, I would say. Kasi, lalo na ngayon, kasi now, it's an age where dahil nga, you're really competing with like I guess so many people. That's just the reality of it. You know, like what is in now, like even if, you know, with your status, like you may be relevant for this week, but the next week it could really differ and change.
Sobrang bilis magbago.
Ang bilis ng turnover. That's really the one thing that my dad has always told me is that he said like nung panahon nila pag natugtog ka na sa radyo, sikat ka na. Ngayon, hindi na kasi ganun. Or kung mag-guest ka dito sa TV show na to, lahat ng tao sa Pilipinas makakaalam tungkol sa'yo. Kasi lahat nakatutok lang dun lang sa media form na yun. Ngayon, hindi. Pwede kang sikat sa TikTok, pero beyond TikTok, hindi ka kilala.
Yeah.
Yung mga tipong ganun. So, I think the struggle right now is how do you achieve mass success with the art that you have? Kasi I'm not saying it's easy to create a good product, but you have more control over that. But I think that's one of the frustrations then when it comes to being an artist is that there's just so much that's out of your control in terms of the outcome of your business.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or your product rather.
Minsan trip lang talaga ng tao.
Yeah.
Diba?
Hindi mo talaga masabi. It's a lot of it is also timing and luck. That's one of the things that have been told to me as well. There's so many factors, and I think for me, that's one of the things I as an artist na-realize ko, lalo na ngayon, na it's really not enough to just have a good product. Unfortunately, I really wish it wasn't that case. But, ayun, so parang parte yun nung struggle na yun. Pero, I guess that's one of the things, like, I had a conversation with someone recently, tapos ang sinabi niya sa akin. But that's part of the journey that, you know, if one day you are blessed with that level of success, mas lalo mo siyang ita-treasure at i-value. Kasi nga, iingatan mo siya kasi pinaghirapan mo siya at ang dami mong pinagdaanan para makarating or makamit yung success na yun. So,
yeah, and I'd like to, park a little bit about longevity. Because also in our industry, mabilis nang sumikat ang kahit na sino.
Actually.
Pwede kang sumikat overnight. Pwedeng sa isang content na ginawa mo, nakakatawa, nag-viral ka. Yung recognition is easy. But longevity is the name of the game.
Yes.
It's how long do you stay in this game. And ako, I've been around for quite a long time. And I've seen a lot of people come and go. Na okay, sikat siya ngayon, pero after 2 months, forgotten na.
Oh, yeah, months.
Yeah, so,
that's true.
And for longevity to happen, that takes discipline. That takes character, and that really takes love for the art that you're doing.
Yes.
And ako, yun yung nakikita ko sa'yo.
Really?
That you love your craft and you're here for the long haul. Like you're not just here for clout. It's not that one time, big time that you're looking for. You really want to establish yourself in the industry.
Yes.
Now, ito meron akong chismis sa'yo.
Ano yun?
Nabalitaan ko. Di ba, ikaw din ay artista, meaning you also act, right?
Yes.
You were in a series called Teen Clash.
Yes, tama.
Correct?
Yes.
See, I did my research.
Wow.
So, meron ako nakausap na artista, hindi ko napapangalanan. Pero sabi niya, alam mo ba bro, na para nga sa akin, nagiging disadvantage pa na artista ako as I promote my music. Because some people think na pag nauna kang artista and then you promoted your music, you will not be taken seriously.
Parang hindi ka
Kilikin, na parang
as a
musician.
Yeah,
as,
yeah.
na parang ngayon, nagiging disadvantage pa sa iba na nauna silang nakilala bilang artista bago sila naging singer.
Mm-mm.
Kasi parang ang notion siguro ng mga tao is, nagpo-promote lang ng pelikula yan o nagpo-promote lang ng teleserye yan, ginagamit lang yung song para... Kasi, let's be honest,
real.
may ibang
naman.
artista na ganun talaga yung
talaga.
ginagawa. So, for you ba, since you're also artista, but heavily a songwriter, a musician, a singer, naka-apekto ba sa'yo yun?
Honestly kasi, nagsimula talaga ako. And then this is like a fact about me. Nung bata pa lang ako, I would already kind of get feelers from some of like people from the industry, like people who are heralded as people who really like make the stars, like sila Mr. M, sila Boss Vic, like to the point where, to this day, I'm just so grateful that they would send feelers in the sense that they would say like, what if mag-artista ka, like as a child, and I would meet them and things like that. And for me, it just so happened that, I wanted to follow my heart. So at the time, and to be fair, nag-aaral pa ako nun, so I really wanted to kind of take it slow, and hindi naman muna ako agad nag-showbiz talaga. When I entered the industry, I really entered as a singer first. So when I was 14, I released my debut single. And so when I did that, I really made that as a conscious decision that I really wanted people's first impression sana sa akin na artist ako. Even though, like, at the time, like, I knew who I was then, but I was also still figuring out my sound. But nevertheless, I wanted people to know that, hey, I'm a singer-songwriter, and that's what I really want to be known as. It was only until, like, siguro nung mga 2021, 2022, is really when I kind of entertained the idea of actually getting into acting. So I've only done, like, one acting project, like, officially so far, apart from my music videos. And I think that was also done on purpose. And ako kasi,
Music-related naman yung...
yeah. Or just, like, in general, like, for me, I wanted to start off, like, with that. Because of, well, number one, yung perception nga na ganun na, if you start out as an actor or actress, like, kumbaga parang, it was really just a matter of what is it I want. So, ganun din na, nung nag-shift ako in terms of my priorities, like this year, na nag-focus ako ng music ko, and I joined a new label and things like that. I think that was all done with that decision in mind and just knowing your heart. I think that's really what it boils down to. Kasi ako naniniwala ko, like for me, it probably wasn't as much as other people, like they came in as artista and then saka na lang talaga sila nag-singer. Ako parang, I just kind of dabbled into acting. And it just so happened that some people, they discovered me through that. So, kaya naging parang ganun. But I would generally say, though, that I think at an early age, in terms of, like, singing, like, having people know that I do sing, I feel like I was sort of able to do that. And, of course, that was definitely... made possible because with my parents guiding me, of course, in terms of the correct decisions with me, and then the label I was with at the time, and to this day, like I'm really thankful that I had that opportunity kasi hindi naman lahat na nabibigyan ng ganong parang pagkakataon to have that choice into where they or like how they want to position themselves as. So definitely, I would say people get to know the celebrity side of me in a way, even though like I don't want to like run around saying like I'm a celebrity, but just because of my family, my familial background, alam ko naman kasi Kuya Carl, kahit anong gawin ko, hindi naman yun matatanggal yun sa akin. Kasi it's part of who I am. That's why I embrace it. Like, if you like me or if you're a fan of mine, it's just something that's part of me. So, ayun. So,
Take it or leave it.
parang take it or
Ganun,
leave it. Ito talaga kasi ako. So yun. So, it was really I just look at it as a part of my journey, but I don't think that just because of how I choose to present myself moving forward as well with my art, I would hope at least that people would definitely recognize me for my singing. Pero ako sa akin, success, like, it can be, well, it's objective, but it's also subjective in a way. Whatever that opportunity may be, whether it be like I might be focusing on my music now, but if a good acting project came along, I don't think I would say no to that. I
Yeah.
think, and if it would become a vehicle for my music, i-consider ko siya. It's one of those no-brainer things na kahit ano pa sigurong gawin ko, yung music will always be my first love.
Mhm.
So,
I guess one of the challenges then of being in an environment where you have a lot of opportunities. People think kasi generally that's a good thing. But also it's difficult to make a decision, ano ba talagang gusto ko? And I have met so many people na ang problema nila is they don't know what they want.
yes.
So, kunyari, kung ikaw ay nanonood, wala kang opportunity pero alam mo kung anong gusto mo, that's actually a blessing. Because meron namang ibang tao na maraming opportunity pero hindi nila alam sa dami ng to.
Saan sila lulugar?
Oo.
Parang ganun.
So, figuring out what you want is actually it's a blessing because there are people na ang reason nila that they're not succeeding or moving forward is because with so many good things that's offered to them, they don't know what to pick, what's best. And so, and I feel like ikaw ang advantage mo kasi alam mo yung gusto mo. And even, I like how you mentioned that there are different ways to measure success.
Yes.
Just because I don't have the metrics of another artist doesn't mean I don't see myself successful. Because if people were able to watch that series and that series na impact yung buhay nila in a different way,
Yes.
that's already success for me. Right? And maaring dun sa mga kausap ko, ang success sa kanila is gusto ko maging parang ganitong OPM icon na ganito yung number of streams, ganyan. Pero what if successful ka naman pala in a sense that your face is out there and whenever people look at you, they feel good. And maybe that's already success in that sense.
I
right?
would say that's actually, it's an interesting perspective on that. Kasi yun nga, dahil nga there's so many ways to measure it. Like, people can have success in different ways, but I think as well, if anything, like, there's success and then there's also the fulfillment of your purpose. Like, ako kasi sa akin, I don't write to impress, I write to connect.
Hey, I love that.
I like that kind of motto when it comes to my approach, when it comes to my art. So for me, if I'm able to connect with people and impact them in a way with my music, and like, if they feel seen and understood and validated by my art, and if they feel a little less alone, I feel like I'm doing my job.
Yeah.
Like, especially when I see the impact real time. That's why I love doing. We were talking about this, like, off air ba? Yeah, but off cam, yeah.
Off the record.
Off the record, yeah. We were talking about this, and then I was saying, like, it's just a different experience pagdating sa live.
Yeah.
Kasi when it comes to, like, live performances, it's really about that real-time connection with people. You get to see their real-time reactions to you and your songs, and I'm also that kind of artist like you guys, and with the ones that I love creating new experiences for my songs live. Kasi gusto ko yung parang pulot sa akin ng mga tao, or their takeaway whenever they, like, watch me is like watching Jayda is an experience.
Yeah, it's experiential.
It's experience. Is that a word?
Yeah, it is
experiential.
experiential.
Okay, yeah.
And I remember when I was a lot younger, I used to say this phrase. I say, I'm here to relate, not to alienate.
Ang ganda niyan.
Because, sometimes as artists, we have a tendency to be eccentric and to really just focus on the things that we like.
Yeah.
But there's a fine line between being true to who you are and being narcissist. Na parang, ito lang gusto ko, so ito lang gagawin ko. But like, if you put that in the lens of purpose, your world expands and you begin to understand that, sabi nga sa Bible, strength is for service, not for status. And the gift of art has a purpose. It's not just meant to make you feel good about yourself. It is meant to be a vehicle to relate to people, to connect to people, to touch people's lives. So, how do you balance being true to your art with all the quirks, the preferences, na ito yung gusto ko, ganyan, ganyan. But also balancing it, wait, I need to also be relatable.
Yes.
Because I want my music to connect to people. I don't want people to look at an album and take it as a photo album of me.
Yes.
I want people that when they look at the album, they get to see themselves.
Yes.
So, paano mo yun binabalance?
That's a really good question. Question of the year. Honestly, for me, as an artist, number one kasi, I also have the approach that when I release a song, it's no longer just my song. It becomes the people's song. Actually, I heard about that through si Juan Carlos. I think he did a podcast as well. And he spoke about that. And I think it really impacted me. Kasi when I write songs, I always think of new ways. Like as a songwriter, I always think about what's a new way to say something in a way that I would be able to impact people. So I think that's a very good point that in our job, it's really easy to make it all about you. And to an extent, it kind of is, but it also isn't the minute that you are now the vehicle or the medium for the specific message that you want
True.
to put out. So for me, the way that I balance it is, well, number one, from a technical standpoint, what is working for me as well with the kind of music I make, I really write about universal themes that I would like to think that people generally can relate to. I write about love, I write about heartbreak, which, are very human concepts
Yeah.
and things. So that's, I kind of have that going for me. And then second would be, I create pop music. So pop is so vast and varied that it's really, it's for me, it's probably my favorite genre for
Yeah.
sure. And I feel like I'm unapologetically a pop artist. So
Alam mo ba, I mean, habang naliligo ako, iniisip ko yun, na she's unapologetically pop.
yeah, like I really,
I don't know where I got that from, but
yeah,
you are, right? And I am too. Like,
yeah,
I don't,
yeah.
I'm not gonna try
Sha-
too hard to be super duper avant-garde.
Yeah, does that make sense?
Artist.
Like for
Yeah,
me,
right.
like I mean, there are definitely artists like that and they have it
Oh,
working
but,
for them. Kaya
yeah.
nilang dalhin.
Good
Pero
for you, diba? Pero
ako kasi with my influences growing up,
Mm-mm.
like I loved the Taylor Swift, I loved the Katy Perry's, like
I love One Direction.
yeah, One Direction.
I love
same.
Harry Styles. I
Yeah.
love
Niall Horan for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Niall.
Nile girl ako eh. Pero, yun, so like stuff like that, like for me, just knowing my core as a person, I think it makes it easier to know that I know no matter what I do, there will always be a piece of me. Therefore, dahil kilala ko yung sarili ko, it's easy to kind of modify it in
Galing.
a sense.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It
Parang,
does.
I'm able to modify it because I know that for a fact that my sense of myself is so strong that I
True.
know no matter what I do, there's always going to be that imprint or my impact on it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like hindi mawawala sarili ko when I try new things and things like that. So I think with that helps me with my mindset of at the end of the day, I want people to be able to relate. Although there's still that fine line of I really also want to do things that are authentic to me and that represent myself well. Ako naniniwala ako, the best way that you're gonna be able to sell yourself is if you believe in the product that you're selling. So in a way, parang ganun din sa ating mga artists. But I am curious, Kuya Carl, like for you, how do you balance that? Like, especially as someone who writes, you don't write just for yourself, but you write for the group. You represent the group.
Ano ako dun, na back to you ako dun.
Now back to you.
I always remind myself that I can always write songs that are just for me.
Okay. Yeah.
But
Makes sense.
kumbaga, art is not just confined to the business model of your career. Because art is everywhere. You can do art wherever. There are songs that are just for your bedroom. And they're fine to be there. There are songs that are just for your soul. And you better nourish that soul because dun nanggagaling lahat ng nilalabas mo sa mundo. Pero, because you also understand that there's a business element to this and there's a purpose element to this, you also know that sometimes the role is to connect to a generation. And that's what the job is for. That's what the songwriting is for. So, it's all about intention at the end of the day. Na para sa akin ba to or para sa tao? Kasi kung para sa akin, bakit kailangan ko marinig nila? Hindi ko kailangan marinig na, or hindi ko kailangan ng palakpak ng tao.
Kung para lang sa'yo.
Kung para lang sa akin to.
Oo.
This can be just in me and my bedroom and my piano. Right? But if I'm showing up for a job, and that job requires me to speak to a generation, the song better speak to them and connect to them.
Yeah.
So that's when it's not about me.
Yeah.
Na parang, yes, I want to be authentic. I want to be me. But at the same time, understanding na I want to be me so that they can be them. Does
That's
that make
so
sense?
good. That makes a lot of sense. And can I just say, singit ko lang, I've always admired the way that you do your spiels.
Really?
I think you have such a way with words that you're able to connect with people. And in such a way where it's really easy for it to impact like as an audience member, like when I hear it, like sometimes I'll watch your guys' reels and things like that. And ako, personally, natatamaan ako sa mga sinasabi. So I feel like you just have that gift of finding the right words. Honestly, for me, sometimes it's not what you say, but it's how you say it. And it's the way that you say it that makes it feel so personal that I think what you do really best is it doesn't feel like, oh, I'm an artist and I'm just speaking to a crowd. Like for me, it feels like when you speak with so much purpose and intention that it feels like you're talking to everybody very much personally in the room. All of a sudden, the room feels smaller in a good way, you know? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So yun, gusto ko lang sabihin yun na I think that's also one of the things that I hope to be able to emulate as an artist na as someone na growing up, I kind of struggled with spiels. Syempre kasi number one, kinakabahan ako kasi public speaking siya. I mean, kahit pa...
Kinakabahan pa siya sa public speaking sa lagay na to.
Oo naman, syempre. Tsaka lalo na dito sa Pinas, syempre nagtatagalog ako. Tagalog is not my first language. So, how do I like make spiels that are relatable? Another person who's really good at spiels is my dad. He's so good at it. And I've always asked him for advice. And one piece of advice that I try to carry with me wherever I go from him, he says, at the end of the day, just be sincere. Because you can never go wrong with sincerity. If you speak from the heart, the audience will feel that too.
Yeah.
Kasi ganun eh, like you have that's your moment, that's your spot. You know, that's your opportunity. Like you have the crowd, you know, like hanging on with you.
Yeah.
So whatever you give to them, they would feel that too. I feel like you nail that sincerity. I think it also stems from dahil kilala mo sarili mo and you know what your band stands for and yung messaging nyo with every song. And I think it's also because of how involved you are creatively in the process that it comes very natural to you. And that's how I feel as an audience member. Di ba nag-fangirl lang talaga ako dito sa podcast na to?
Okay, can I share something?
Yes.
You know, as much as I love the way that sounds, and I hear comments like that all the time, but to be really honest, I don't mean to be churchy or religious, but a lot of the things that I say, I don't really prepare for. I don't really formulate them in the backstage.
I think that, and that's a good thing.
But every time, before we step on stage, we would always have a moment to pray and to ask God, like, help me read the room. Help me feel what people are feeling. Help me connect with them so deeply that I will be hurt when they're hurt, that I'll be crying when they're crying. And then there are moments wherein why am I crying?
Oh my God.
No. There will be moments where I would step on stage and I would look at young kids. And somehow I get to have a feeling of what they're going through.
Uy, bakit parang naiyak din ako?
And so when I open my mouth, a lot of times it's just really saying what I feel they're feeling. Because some of the stuff I don't even went through those stuff, but somehow nararamdaman ko yung crowd.
Yes.
And the reason why I'm crying is it's such a gift.
I was about to say, it really is a gift to be able to, it's a gift from God.
Yeah.
And I think that's also another thing too, is because that's part of your process and you ask for His help and His guidance in that moment.
Yeah.
Because in that moment, you are like the vehicle, you are the vessel.
Yeah.
The
True.
vessel to impart whatever message that maybe he would want the
Yeah.
crowd to hear.
True.
So I think that's so beautiful, really. And that's another thing that I appreciate about your band as well, and like what you guys do is you never forget him. I think that's really nice to see artists who are so open about that. I think that's really inspiring, especially because like for me, before I do a performance, I also have that moment where I'm like, I'm just gonna lift it up to you.
Yeah.
Like I know there's that element, of course, that I work for it, but to an extent, I really just I surrender it
Yeah.
to him, and I feel like that's what you do.
True.
Especially like that's why I think that I don't get the sense that when you speak, none of it is scripted. I know that you kind of come up with it on the fly, but somehow it's just exactly what everybody needs to hear in that moment. So I feel like it is a gift that you have that not everyone is able to do that. And I think that's something that's really, really special. Of course, like, and I respect that you lift it up to God, but this is from someone from this perspective of, as an audience member and as a fellow artist, I think it's just something admirable that it's not easy to do that. It's not easy to be carrying that energy as well.
Yeah.
Like, syempre kasi when you read the room and you kind of absorb that,
True.
and you have to articulate that,
Yeah.
it's something that's difficult, and I feel like you definitely should get your flowers and your credit for that. You know?
Wow.
So
Yeah, and I'm talking about this because I feel like you can also do that. I feel like all of us are given that gift. Maybe in different expressions, in different packaging. Maybe some people do it through their music.
yes.
I do it through spills and my music, but some people do it through their craft. Sometimes people do that through their service, that they get to speak to people while serving them, while doing stuff for them. And it's a gift. Generally, being an artist is a gift. Being able to write stuff that people listen to, it's a gift.
Yes.
And maybe this is an encouragement for anyone who's watching.
yes.
Like, how can my life be impactful? How can my life be influential to other people? Maybe begin to ask God for the needs of people that are outside your sphere or outside who you are. Because it only becomes purposeful if it becomes bigger than who you are, right?
That's true. Actually.
And yun. Yeah, but yeah. Wow. Moving forward, since yun, lumaking artista, lumaki ka sa showbiz,
Yes.
you've had a lot of, friends, acquaintances,
Yes.
people you've worked with, people you thought you were friends with but were just there for whatever reason.
Yes.
And you actually talked about this in your album, that some of the stuff there were about friendships that you had to
Yes.
walk away from. How bad was it?
It was pretty bad, I would say. Like obviously for me, like when I preface that by saying like what my songs are about, I never say like I never paint the full picture, mainly because I want, again, like as artists, we want people to really interpret it in and see themselves within our art, But for me, with that particular thing that really inspired that, I think it just impacted me so deeply because I'd never experienced that kind of loss before on that level. Does that make sense? Like having that's why like I preface it by saying that Sad Girl Hours, my album, it's an album that has every song for every hour of heartbreak. And when I say every hour of heartbreak, I mean heartbreak comes in many forms. So for me, that was a kind of heartbreak that I never knew that I would actually experience. Like, it's not that I had never lost friends before, but to lose that particular connection in the manner that it happened,
In that way.
I just never thought it would ever happen to me. It's like sometimes it's the things that happen when you least expect it and from the people that you least expect it to happen with.
Yeah.
Yun yung talagang mga nabablindside ka na nasashock ka na hindi mo maintindihan na parang, well, this is actually reality. This is actually happening. And I think for me, I wrote about it because it was the best way that I could cope with it and process it. And in fact, I wrote the song particularly in question, I wrote Rocket Science way after it happened because I had to take time away. I knew I wanted to call it Rocket Science. I had the hook, But I never actually wrote it until I really truly understood and processed what that kind of loss was like for
Yeah.
me. And because I also wanted to treat the subject matter with the appropriate amount of like delicacy. I don't know what
You wanna be careful.
I want to be careful, but in the sense that I wanted to find the right words to say exactly
Yeah.
what I was feeling. And for me, it was really explaining that it's not rocket science, or to translate it, hindi naman mahirap isipin na masasaktan
Saktan ako sa
ako
gagawin
sa
mo.
gagawin mo.
Yeah.
That's really what it's about.
Yeah.
So for me, I feel like those kinds of relationships, because like relationships are not just romantic. Like
Yeah.
it could be your family, your friends.
True.
I think for me, it was really about that you put your trust fully into someone,
Yeah.
and that trust was broken.
Yeah. Betrayed.
You were yeah, there was that level of like feelings of being betrayed. So for me, I just wanted to find the right words to express that. Like for me, I honestly took my time. Like I think I had the concept of that song sort of like around this time last year. And then I only wrote it around April or May of this year. And I think Rocket Science, this song in particular, it was the last song I wrote for the album. And then after that, it's like, it's done. You know, it's because there are always gonna be those songs for us as artists that it feels like yun na yung last page ng book na yun. Especially when we write albums, I think you would relate to it as well. Because albums feel like little like, I guess, checkpoints, or like it's a milestone that you choose to mark. You mark the occasion, like, okay, this was this chapter of my life.
Chapters.
Ito yung book na to, or ito yung chapter na to ng buhay ko na gusto kong markahan with this album. So for me, I think it was that. It was definitely that song.
So diving deep into the Sad Girl Hours album.
Yes.
What was the song? So, syempre, ang laging tanong, anong favorite song mo sa track? So, I'm not gonna ask that.
Yeah.
What was the song that you struggled with the most?
To write?
In every aspect.
Actually, feeling ko lahat ng songs in a sense had some, their own respective challenges. Maliban sa, like, I mean, apart from the fact that, they were personal to me, that's why it definitely was a process of really getting my emotions down on, like in a different, like, putting them in art, essentially. But for me, number one, I definitely struggled with Right Lover Wrong Time. Because that song
Favorite
was...
ko yun.
Yeah, I know. Kaya nga kanina nung pagdating ni Kuya Carl dito, he was playing it on the piano.
I was humming it.
I know, he was humming it, and then he played it for me on the piano. And it's parang, nakakakilig lang na moment yun. Parang, oh my God.
Mas nakakakilig po tugtugin yung piano nila kasi ang mahal.
Ang mahal.
Branded.
It's yun.
It's
yun. Alam
brand
na
ng
nila
motor.
Yun, pagdating sa Right Lover Wrong Time, actually, yun yung naging turning point song ko na na-realize ko na magiging album. Kasi my plan originally, I knew I was always gonna create an album. I didn't quite know what the track list was gonna look like or anything like that. I had released my songs IDIOY and AM. And nung sinulat ko yun, yung mga songs na yun, parang I just knew that it was headed towards something bigger. I just didn't know what it was yet. And, so I just was like, okay, I'll just start off with singles and then we'll see where this will go. And then it just so happened that last year, I experienced something so profound where I had that case of, having a totga, for lack of a better term. And I think that was a turning point for me where I was like, oh yeah, the whole concept of right love, wrong time. And at the time when I wrote that song, I was really writing it not for, oh, I need a new single. Like, I was really just writing it just for my soul, like what we were talking about earlier. So I wrote that song for my soul, and I wrote it fully in English. And then my dad heard the song, and he said, "Nakpag tinagalog mo to, solid to." So I gave it a chance, and then we translated it together. That's why my dad's credited as co-writer on the track. And then so I recorded it, and I had the demo. And then when the label heard it, they liked it, but they were like, there's like a missing element. And like, honestly, that was frustrating for me because...
ang hirap nun. There's a missing element.
There's something missing. Like, sabi nila, I don't know if it's production, ganito. Tapos...
Dami niyong alam?
Edi, ako, nung time na yun, I was like, how do I make this like any like better. Like, at the time, nung demo, which...
Paano ko pa ipupush to?
Di ba? Paano ko pa ipupush
Lalo na
to?
pagka buong puso't kaluluwa ka na to
Yeah, tapos parang hindi pa din siya sapat. Wait,
binigay mo
parang
lang lahat pero hindi pa rin sapat.
Very true. So anyway, so yun nangyari. To make the long story short, I ended up recording the song like 5 times.
Wow, that is
Re-recording the
frustrating.
whole thing.
That's
And
frustrating. Oh my gosh.
that was such a struggle and that's including the English versions.
Okay.
So, sobrang hirap nun kasi mahirap siyang kanta. So, I really struggled with that song, and then it came to a point where I legit I filmed like a mini vlog. It's on my Instagram where I was just detailing like to the points where I just got so frustrated, and it's funny looking back on it, but in the moment hindi siya nakakatawa kasi parang oh my gosh, ang hirap ng kanta na to, bakit ko ba ginagawa to sa sarili ko? Pero I actually ask myself that kasi nga, diba we were talking about the self-cam. Ang hihirap ng mga kanta ko. I don't know why. Bakit ko to ginagawa? And then I just was like, why is it so difficult with the song? And then, another thing when it came to production, there were so the song basically went through technically 4 producers.
Wow.
Before we got to the one which is si Shad.
Shad.
Yo,
Shout
Shad.
out.
Shout
Shout
out
out.
to you. Shad.
Shout out.
Shad.
Shout out.
It's giving Tito.
Tito.
Carl.
Tito.
Tito Carl. Hindi, pero, so yun. So, I went through, there were 3 producers before that. And then, I kind of sent it out all at the same time, but it just didn't work out. But, looking back on it, it happened for a reason. So, ayun. So, I would definitely say Right Lover, Wrong Time. Lahat ng buong album ko, puro mga sad songs. How do I grow from that? Kasi ako, I'm looking for, syempre, yung journey ko. This album is about yung journey, like a healing guide, a guide to healing. So what's the end phase of that? After Lumimot Sa'yo, what's the final stage? Parang what's the renewed product after everything? So for me, it's like, how do I make a song that's fun, but it's about being sad? So I realized that was right around the time na na-realize ko na-associate ako na, ay, sad girl siya.
Si sad girl.
Ito si sad girl. And then na-realize ko, I need to write an anthem for the sad girls. So I legit, I just had that as sad girl anthem. And then I really just broke it down about how I felt about dating in today's generation. And realizing that, we look for love in so many places and in different people. But at the end of the day, sa sarili mo mahahanap talaga yung tunay na fulfillment in that sense. Na kailangan mo din makontento sa sarili mo. Parang nadidetail ko dun sa kanta na yun na the only forever you got is you. So yun, it's like ending the album on a high note, and then it contains all the right elements of I was actually really influenced by just real pop music and even stuff like One Direction. It was production wise all the things that I love, and I just wanted to be unapologetically pop with it and just have fun with it.
Yeah. I gusto ko lang i-comment na I'm so thankful that you were unapologetically pop.
Really? Thanks.
Because nung nandun kami, I was listening to it and I'm like, this is the future. This is the future of OPM. And I hope that people really get to embrace this beautiful material. Because it was built with so much heart and soul. And as an artist, I know when something is built just to ride the hype. And I know when something is built because that's the heart and soul of the artist. And yun yung challenge kasi sa atin na sasakay pa tayo sa hype.
Sa trip, yeah.
Yung mga uso ba ngayon, sasabay ba tayo? Or do we create something that's original? Something that's us?
Yes.
And I want to commend you for that. Now,
thank you.
As we close, if there's one thing that's common between you and the Juans, it is that we understand the power of confronting sadness so that you can heal properly.
Pareho tayong mapanakit.
Yes, pares tayong mapanakit. So, my question is, bakit sa tingin mo, importante na yakapin ng mga tao ang kalungkutan para makaalis sila dun?
So, sa akin kasi, you have to start somewhere when it comes to healing. And I feel like the first step to healing is the self-awareness that this is what you have to do. So for me, during the conception of this album, it was really about acknowledging my feelings every step of the way. Kasi I'm not gonna lie, as I was creating the album, I was healing as a human being at the same time. So I wanted the songs to reflect that. So for me, para makalampas ka dun, you have to get through the thick of it. You have to get through the thick of healing. So how are you going to completely heal if you won't take the first step? You always have to take the first step with anything that you do. Sometimes you have to suck at it first before you actually get
Get
good at it.
yeah.
Or so it's the same thing with healing.
So it's a perfect example of what we always say, from hugot to healing.
Yes.
Diba? So you start with hugot, but the story doesn't end with just, okay, I'm sad. But, okay, what do you do after? Like, what happens after?
Yeah.
Right? But in our day and age kasi, it's very easy to evade sadness. It's very easy to distract yourself from sadness. And that's why it is purposeful for us to write songs that will give people no choice but to sit with your feelings, to admit to yourself na, bro, you sad, bro. Like, you gotta face it. Because that's the first step to actually healing. Ganun.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. We could go on.
Honestly,
We
yeah.
could go on.
I'm having a good time.
Thank you for
Yes, thank you.
for sharing your art, for being generous not just with your talent but your time and your insight. You are full of wisdom. I mean, I must say, I remember when we walked out of the theater na pinanood namin. One of the people from our team said, I think we found a female version of you with Jayda,
I
because
take that as a huge compliment.
she
but-
is so eloquent. She knows the right words. She is able to explain herself clearly. And that's a beautiful gift also. Kaya nga sabi ko, hindi kaya mo din ginagawa ko kasi
Thanks.
you're given with, you're a wordsmith.
Thanks.
Word is your words are your weapon. And I just want to encourage you that you are doing a great job. We are very proud. In fact, I was raving about it when pag-uwi ko, like, just telling everyone, yo, Jayda, she is the future. Like, she's so far from other artists that I've seen. I mean, not to compare or anything, pero ang layo ng quality. You're a different level.
Thank you, Kuya Carl. That really means a lot coming from you. So
Yeah, and
I
that's why we
appreciate
want to work with you.
Yes,
Oh,
I
kasi
would really
gusto
love to
namin
work with
mapunta
you
sa
guys.
level mo.
Ay, grabe siya. Grabe ka naman.
Ah,
Kayo ngayon nagpapaiyak sa akin pag
pag kailangan umiyak.
Pag kailangan kong umiyak. Actually, yan yung bungad ko kila Kuya Carl nung nagkita kami after nung launch ko.
Alam mo, marami artista nagsasabi niya, kahit na nagpunta kami sa ABS, sabi niya, alam niyo ba pag taping kami, pag kailangan umiyak, yung song niyo piniplay. Hey, thank you
Thank you so much.
for
Thank you
this.
for having me. No, I really enjoyed this
Man,
convo.
naman,
Like,
it is.
it made my day.
Oh.
But of course, guys, sana nga na may mga Juanistas. Yes,
Juanistas,
I'm a
yes.
Juanista as well. Sana masuportahan nyo yung newest album ko, Sad Girl Hours. Para sa mga sad besties natin dyan. Yan yung mga tawag ko sa mga taong mga listeners ko, mga
Yes.
supporters ko, mga sad besties. Share it with this fellow sad bestie, and sana yung album na to maging bahagi ng buhay. Katulad ng pagiging bahagi siya. And of course, stream it on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube,
YouTube
wherever you may get your music.
Lahat na may play button.
Yes.
Basta
yun.
wag lang po sa Pirate Bay o kaya sa LimeWire. Do you even know that?
Yeah, of course.
Alam mo yun.
Of course, I know part.
Abutan mo wala. Ito na last.
Oh.
Dahil sad girl hours, we talked a lot about sadness. Ano ang ginagawa ng isang Jayda para siya naman ay sumaya?
Ako, mababaw lang talaga yung kaligayahan ko. Honestly, for me, like my definition of like happiness is probably like
BMW. De joke lang. Mababaw.
ang babaw. Hindi, pero ako, I just having like quality time with the people that I love and the people whose
Ala,
presence I
same.
really enjoy. A bag of chips for
Anong
me.
chips favorite mo?
Gusto ko salt and vinegar or salt and pepper, yung mga tipong gano'n.
Anong like
Mga Doritos and stuff. But
Doritos?
that's like nacho cheese and stuff.
Okay.
Pero yung mga, I forgot what that's called. Like, yung sa mga healthy options, yung mga kettle chips.
Mga popcorn chips,
Parang
ganon.
mga ganon, or mga pop chips.
Or yung mga...
Gets mo ba?
Oo, gets kita.
Yeah,
Actually,
yeah.
mahilig din ako sa chicheria. Kaya
Yeah.
curious ako kasi iniisip ko, yung mga artista ba
Mahilig ako sa-
nagle-lace pa tsaka nagchichitas pa? Parang iba na
Oh.
yung mga kinakain nila.
Oo naman. Diyos ko, sobrang... Yatos, yes. Pero yun,
Ako kasi boy bawang lang ako.
So yun, so I would say like that, or just having a really simple night in. But ako, for me, with the right company.
Same tayo.
Yeah, not the
I mean, hindi para maging cloud chaser, pero yeah, same. As in,
para
yung pahinga ko, it's not dependent on the place, it's dependent on the people, sinong kasama. Thank you very much.
Thank
We learned so
you.
much from you.
I learned so much from you. Such good insight, and I love having these kind of conversations with fellow
You know,
artists.
we're gonna look back on this video
Yeah.
years, siguro 10 years. After 10 years, pag binili mo itong video na to, makikita niyo kung saan nagsimula ang isang super mega big star na Jayda.
Grabe siya naman.
And I declare that. I believe that. Just don't stop. Okay? Just don't quit. Don't stop. Just keep doing your thing.
I feel like this is what I needed to hear right now. I'm not
Your kuya, I'm really proud of you. Mayabang. Pinagmamayabang kita sa lahat.
Wow.
Ayun.
Thank you.
Alright, so I hope you guys also learned a thing or two sa kwentuhan namin ni
Yes.
Jayda. Please do
Sana maganda yung mga napulot.
Yeah, and support niyo po yung music niya and comment dito sa mga ano mo natutunan nyo, insights nyo, 'di ba? Mga notes nyo, and if meron pa kayong gustong ipagawa sa amin, sa akin, just let me know. Share this video to a friend if this has been helpful to you. And yeah, support Jayda in all her social media channels, all the things that she's doing. Watch out for this lady because she's a monster. Yeah. Right. All right. Thank you very much. And this has been
Carlversations.